This is News 3 at 6.
Good evening and thanks for watching News 3 at 6. I'm Madeline O'Neill. Well, let's turn it over right away to Chief Meteorologist Gary Canalti, who has some severe weather in the forecast. Gary?
Hi, Maddie. Yeah, some severe thunderstorms have popped up just to the north of Madison, mainly over the central portion of Columbia County. These storms have been firing up in the same general area, and as you can see, a severe thunderstorm warning is now in effect until 6:30 p.m. for central Columbia County. The warning in far east central portions of Sauk County has been canceled early as the storm has moved out of east central Sauk County. But right now, the strongest part of the storm is south of Portage, right around the Poinette area, moving very slowly to the east-northeast at about 15 miles per hour. The storm is capable of producing hail up to the size of quarters or larger, as well as damaging straight-line winds to 60 miles per hour. Now, if we look at current hail size estimates here, it's possible that we could even be seeing some larger hail just to the south of Portage. In fact, we'll zoom in on that area very quickly, and you can see the area that's right just to the west of Poinette, actually just to the west of Decorah. And if we do a hail check on this, we could be looking at hail perhaps up to 2 inches diameter, which is about golf ball sized or a little bit larger. So we're going to have to keep a close eye on that as this storm event continues to move very slowly over the same general area and also dumps heavy amounts of rain. Now we'll widen back out here and take a look at precipitation estimates. You can see areas just south of Portage, right around the Poinette area over toward Decorah, may have picked up 1 to 2 inches of rain just in about the last hour and a half, and that could lead to some flooding issues. These storms developed over central Columbia County, and you can just see them just kind of regenerating over the same general area, and it's just a very localized storm. The rest of southern Wisconsin pretty much free of precipitation right now. So again, that area over central Columbia County not only getting heavy rain, but also has the possibility for some hail and strong winds. And there has been a brief tornado touchdown reported about 5:25 from the storm. Tornado on the ground for about 3 to 4 minutes and causing just some minor damage. Future Doppler track takes the storms out of here by late this evening, so that would put an end to the severe weather threat. But the heat is going to linger. We have heat advisories in effect, and we have alert days for tonight for the strong thunderstorms, as well as for the heat and humidity for tomorrow and Monday, and maybe some strong storms late in the day on Monday. Heat advisories are in effect until 7 p.m. tomorrow for all of southern Wisconsin. And as we take a look at low temperatures from this morning, we started out at around 68 degrees, so it was very muggy. High temperatures so far, generally in the upper 80s to the lower 90s. Here in Madison, we've reached 89 so far. Current temperatures are in the mid 80s to the lower 90s, but you factor in these dew point temperatures that are in the middle 70s, and this is what it feels like. Heat index values are around the triple digits over toward La Crosse, in the upper 80s to around 90 degrees elsewhere. Otherwise, look for the thunderstorms to come to an end this evening, but tomorrow we're back to near record heat with a high of 94. Record high for tomorrow is 95, set back in 1994. I'll have more details in weather in a few minutes.
Gary, thank you. And we've got a photo of that possible tornado in Poinette from a News 3 viewer. Stay with News 3 as we continue to cover this. Please share your storm damage photos with us on Facebook. All right, and moving on, people around the area are cleaning up today after an overnight storm brought down trees and flooded homes and streets. News 3's Jenna Middow is live on our backyard patio with a look at some of the damage. Jenna.
Hi, Maddie. Well, there were several trees blocking roads around town today, some even landing on cars. I spoke with one car owner about what he thought when he saw the damage. Greg Edelman is new to his Madison neighborhood.
And we just moved in about 2 months ago. Love Madison.
But this was not the welcome he was expecting when he looked outside.
As you can see behind me, I saw a tree on top of my car that more or less crushed it, which I'm fortunate. We were parked on the other side, and my wife told me not to park under a tree. So needless to say, I woke up with a tree on top of my car.
Edelman says the overnight storm was crazy.
There was just lightning everywhere in the distance. I don't think I've seen this type of consistency in lightning.
Even though this looks bad, Edelman is glad it wasn't worse.
Luckily for us, it's not on our house. Nobody was in the car. Nothing that's going to affect us long term, so we're thankful for that.
Just down the street, a large tree branch came alarmingly close to landing on a house. And a few blocks away, Whole Foods was closed because of all the rain.
I'm a little bit surprised, but Whole Foods is on the bottom of a hill, so I can understand that it was flooded.
The store posted signs saying it will reopen tomorrow, and Lisa Urbania says she plans to come back.
I'll be here for lunch tomorrow.
But the cleanup continues for Edelman.
This is the first time that we've experienced a flood. We have a pool in our backyard now.
But he's thankful for his new neighborhood and all the help he's received.
One neighbor came over with a chainsaw and helped kind of cut it all up. The other neighbors helped pick it up and sweep it away. It was a good community effort.
The Red Cross says there were 6 people displaced because of flooding at an apartment complex, but it did provide emergency assistance to those who needed it.
Thank you, Jenna. That storm last night didn't cool things off much in Madison. Much of the area is under a heat advisory until tomorrow evening. It's hard to be comfortable outside with that heat, but plenty of people are still out enjoying the dry conditions today. Parks were full of kids beating the heat, playing in the splash pad over at Lakeview Park in Middleton. So far, no official cooling shelters have opened in the area, but officials are reminding people that libraries can be a good place to go if your home doesn't have air conditioning. They're also encouraging people to drink plenty of water. As temperatures reach highs in the 90s this weekend, state transportation officials are warning drivers about pavement buckling. The hot weather means conditions are perfect for this to happen. The heat causes slabs of pavement to expand and push against each other, which can result in buckling if the pressure becomes too great. The DOT is advising drivers to check the 511 travel information system before making any trips. Drivers can report serious pavement issues by calling 911. Today, police and others in Milwaukee are honoring a police officer killed while on duty. Squad cars and police motorcycles lined up outside a Brookfield church hours before the funeral service for Milwaukee police officer Charles Irvine. Irvine was killed last week when a squad car he was riding in rolled over near an overpass during a high-speed chase with a driver allegedly driving recklessly. A visitation was held this morning at Eldenbrook Church in Brookfield with a funeral service right after. It's the first time since 1996 that a Milwaukee police officer has been killed in the line of duty. Ahead of their stop in Madison later this week, the survivors of the high school shooting in Parkland, Florida, were in Chicago last night, joined by hundreds of people showing their support for ending gun violence. The Parkland teens were taking a bit of a back seat last night, letting their spotlight shine on the city's youth movement, which has struggled to get the same kind of attention. Celebrities like Chance the Rapper and Jennifer Hudson pumped up the crowd of thousands as they took to the South Side streets.
We're anti-gun violence. We're here for peace. So we're gonna walk down the streets and we're gonna get extremely loud.
Parkland students will be in Madison on Friday. Now closer to home, one person is dead after crashing their motorcycle into a minivan. The Dane County Sheriff's Office says just before 11:30 this morning, the 24-year-old motorcyclist was driving on Highway 73 near I-90 in the town of Albion when he crashed into a minivan turning onto the interstate. The 71-year-old driver of the minivan is being treated at a local hospital, but she's expected to be okay. In Sun Prairie, 3 people are without a place to stay tonight after a fire this morning. Sun Prairie firefighters say they responded to the fire around 8 o'clock this morning to the 300 block of MacArthur Road, a few blocks away from North Bristol Street. Investigators say the fire started in the attic of a rental property. With more than $100,000 worth of damage, firefighters say residents won't be able to return. Everyone was able to get out safely. Still to come, an update on former Trump campaign chairman Paul Manafort, who is no longer free on bail. That's next on News 3 at 6. Special counsel Robert Mueller's team is preparing to go to trial against former Trump campaign chairman Paul Manafort. Manafort is accused of dozens of crimes not associated with his time running the president's election efforts. Manafort himself had been free on bail while he was preparing to defend himself, but that all changed Friday. Kenneth Craig has the details from New York.
Former Trump campaign chairman Paul Manafort spent the night in this Warsaw, Virginia jail, and he will be there for many nights to come. Manafort appeared in court Friday where a federal judge revoked his bail. A grand jury found sufficient probable cause that he was trying to tamper with witnesses. Manafort and his Russian business partner allegedly asked European contacts to testify that their lobbying work did not take place in the U.S. He will now remain in jail until his trial on dozens of charges, including financial fraud, money laundering, and making false statements. Judge Amy Berman Jackson ruled that jail was her only choice, saying, "This is not middle school. I can't take away his cell phone. I have no appetite for this."
You know, Paul Manafort worked for me for a very short period of time.
President Trump distanced himself a bit from the man who headed his campaign for almost 5 months, but also stuck up for him, suggesting that Manafort's alleged crimes are too old to prosecute.
They've gone back 12 years to find things about somebody, and I don't think it's right.
Friday evening, the president also tweeted that the judge's decision to put Manafort in jail was a tough sentence and added, "Didn't know Manafort was the head of the mob." Sources tell CBS News that Manafort is banking on a presidential pardon in order to stay out of jail for the rest of his life. Kenneth Craig, CBS News, New York.
Manafort's trial is scheduled to begin in September. Now coming up next on News 3 at 6, how canoers in Madison spent their Saturday.
Severe thunderstorms continue over the central portion of Columbia County. The rest of us are dry and just sweltering in the heat. I'll have our first alert forecast in just a few minutes.
Well, it's a perfect day to hit the lake, and that's what dozens of canoers did as they made their way across the city. It was the 39th annual Paddle and Portage. Canoers paddled for a mile loop around Lake Mendota, took off on foot from James Madison Park across the Isthmus to Lake Monona. We caught up with paddlers at Olbrich Park. Lots of excitement going into the finish. Participants we spoke with say it was the energy of all the bystanders that helped them make it.
There were times where it definitely burned. But, oh man, running past the Capitol was great. You have all the people from the farmers market there just like cheering you on. And the hot dog costume's kind of hard to miss. So people were just like pointing you out. So much fun, very motivational.
That was Nicholas Kazeski. He dressed up as a hot dog today because he wanted to stand out, which he obviously did. He tells News 3 he can't wait to do it again next year.
A little more mustard and he'd be ready to go, especially with this heat. But
there you go.
You know, we had the storms last night that dumped the heavy rain in Madison. Now we've got some severe weather across the northern portions of our viewing area in Columbia County. Let's start out by taking a look at this isolated strong thunderstorm, strong to severe thunderstorm that really hasn't moved very much over the last couple of hours, sitting over the central portion of Columbia County. The strongest part of the storm right now is located between Portage and Poynette, and it's pretty much been there for about the last 45 minutes. So it's dumping heavy amounts of rain, brings the potential for some hail as well as gusty winds, and it did produce a brief tornado touchdown earlier. Now, if we take a look at current hail estimates, about 1 inch in diameter hailstones possible, again, mainly just to the west and northwest of Poynette and to the southwest of Portage over the western portion of Columbia County. Hail zone 30-minute forecast of where hail could be over the next half hour takes that area just to the north of Poynette and just to the south of Portage, again over the same general area. But the rains are going to be very heavy. In fact, already about 2 to 3 inches of rain. And this is just over the last 3 hours over that same area, and perhaps another inch or so before it comes to an end. So there are flood advisories there, and we'll have to see whether or not a flash flood warning may need to be issued like it was last night over central Dane County, where we picked up about 3 to 5 inches of rain from the southwestern portion of Madison through the southern portion of the metro area and then down toward Stoughton and Edgerton. You go just south of there down toward Belleville and Brooklyn, no rain at all. So, I mean, a difference of about 20 miles was the difference between a flood and basically no rain at all. Now, tonight, most of these storms are continuing north and northeast of Madison as a warm front actually lifts northeastward. So I don't expect any rain south and west of Madison, and most of the thunderstorm activity north and east of Madison should end over the next couple of hours. Most of the severe weather tonight is going to be concentrated farther to the north and west. A tornado watch in effect for parts of western Minnesota where there's an enhanced risk of severe weather, slight risk in the northwestern Wisconsin, and a marginal risk at least through the northern portion of the state. Tomorrow, the severe weather threat shifts a little southward. If it reaches our area, it'll be late tomorrow night, and the storms will be weakening at that point. The higher severe weather threat to the north and west. And then on Monday, there's a marginal risk for severe thunderstorms as storms fire up late in the afternoon ahead of a cold front that eventually will break the heat. But we have alert days in the forecast for tonight, tomorrow, and for Monday for strong thunderstorms north and east of Madison this evening. Near record heat tomorrow and high heat and humidity on Monday before storms move through. Heat advisories in effect for most of the central Midwest, an excessive heat warning for Cook County and the city of Chicago, as well as up toward the Twin Cities and the St. Louis metro area. Future track temperatures for tomorrow afternoon, well, about 94 in Madison, 94 in Milwaukee, 95 in Chicago. And as you take a look at the heat index, this is starting at 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. Already the heat index around 80, so you don't get much of a break during the night. Tomorrow, triple-digit heat index readings in the afternoon. And then even tomorrow night, those heat index readings dropping only to the upper 70s to around 80 and back up into the 90s on Monday before the storms eventually cool us down. As we check out the live view from the Queen Bee Radio Skycam in Platteville, skies have cleared out over southwestern Wisconsin. No rain there. The WISC Skycam looking back toward the east, you can see the dark clouds in the distance, but skies are sunny on the west side of Madison. And the Edgewater Skycam in downtown Madison showing hazy sunshine. As we check out the almanac, you'll see our high temperature today. It's 89 degrees, the low at 68, and right now we're sitting at a sultry 83 with a heat index of 89. So for tonight, low of 74, evening thunderstorms northeast ending, then very mild and muggy. Tomorrow, a near record high of 94 with high heat and humidity. You can see the thunderstorm threat moving out tonight. Overnight, just partly cloudy skies. Tomorrow, high heat and humidity, highs mid-90s, lots of sunshine. The storms reaching us late tomorrow night, but weakening as they do so. And then Monday, we'll see some storms in the morning, and then they fire up again late in the afternoon as the cold front gets close. High temperatures will be in the middle to upper 80s. 7 to 10 day forecast. By Tuesday, we're back into the upper 70s as showers and thunderstorms gradually weaken, and then after that, look for more tolerable weather, highs in the lower 80s, with some thunderstorm chances as a little more humidity arrives by the end of next week.
Well, Oregon aiming for its first girls' state soccer title in 3 years. We'll have highlights from Eline Soccer Park as we wrap up the high school spring season. That's next in sports.
And the push to ban plastic straws continues to grow as McDonald's makes a major decision impacting its locations overseas. That story first on Fox at 9.
Well, the high school spring season wrapping up this weekend with the WIAA Girls State Soccer Tournament in Milwaukee. In Division II, Oregon making its third appearance in the title game. The Panthers won it all in 2015, and they were the runners-up in 2016. The Oregon faithful out in full force. No heat is going to keep them away today. Scoreless game till the second half. Jenny Cape alert and ready for the Lancers. Scores on the rebound here. Brookfield Central leads 1-0 in the 48th minute. Later in the half, Emma Staskowicz, she'll be right up in front there, knocks it into the right corner. 2-0 Lancers at the 77th minute. Brookfield Central winning its 6th title in school history. They beat Oregon 2-0 the final. Elsewhere in Division I, Bayport beat Sheboygan North 3-1. And right now in Division IV, Cedar Grove, Belgium and Kenosha St. Joseph, they are tied at 1 in the second half. Well, some good news for Zach Davies. He'll start rehabbing in AAA starting on Tuesday. Now, Davies finished up another bullpen session with no problems today. He'll be on tap for at least 3 rehab starts. Now, he's nursing an inflammation in his right rotator cuff for the second time in the last month. Game 2 against the Phillies today. Travis Shaw getting things started by lining this one to right. Christian Yelich scores 1-0 Brew Crew. But the Phillies responding and more in the 5th. Andrew Knapp goes straight back and up off of Junior Guerra. 2-1. Phillies take the lead right now. Philly leads 4-1 in the 8th inning. Cubs and Cardinals back at Busch Stadium tonight for Game 2 of the series. Kyle Hendricks facing off against Carlos Martinez on the mound. First pitch at 7:15 in St. Louis. At the U.S. Open, Shinnecock Hills Golf Course proving to be the winner today so far. The pros having a tough time with this course. Phil Mickelson, especially on 13, putting for bogey on the par 4, hits it past the hole, then hits it again. This looks like me playing mini golf here. Apparently, the ball is still moving, which is against the rules, of course. Land with a 2-stroke penalty, finishes that hole with a 10. Phil Mickelson with a 10. And then a lot of movement on the leaderboard right now. Round 3 still in progress. At the moment, Dustin Johnson regaining the lead despite 5 bogeys and 1 double bogey. Defending U.S. Open champion Brooks Koepka in a 4-way tie for second. And Edgerton native Steve Stricker at 11 over, which isn't really that bad right now. Tied for 33rd. Nobody in the red today. Finally tonight, this is one of my favorite stories of the week. Iceland versus Argentina in the World Cup today. Iceland not even expected to be competitive in this game, going up against Messi and all, but not only did Alfred Finnbogason score in the 23rd minute to tie it up at 1. Later in the second half, Messi missing the penalty kick. Iceland goalie Hannes Halldórsson, the diving save. They're one of the smallest countries in the World Cup population-wise, with 330,000 people. Just to give you an idea, Dane County has a population of 520,000. By the way, Iceland's head coach, this isn't his full-time gig. He's actually a dentist, so this is just kind of his side hobby, coaching the national team.
What a side hobby.
Right? It's awesome.
Well, we'll turn it over for Gary. We have some severe weather in the area.
I have a side job. It's called severe weather sometimes. We do have a severe thunderstorm warning that remains in effect for the central portion of Columbia County, that until 6:30 p.m. The storm has weakened. It may not be at severe limits, but it could produce hail and some strong winds. But because it has been producing heavy rainfall, the National Weather Service has now issued a flash flood warning until 9:15 p.m. for central Columbia County. About 2 to 4 inches of rain has fallen just to the north of Decorah, just to the north of Poynette, and just to the south of Portage. And an additional 1 to 2 inches of rainfall is possible as the storms continue pretty much over the same general area over Columbia County. The rest of southern Wisconsin pretty much free of precipitation. For the rest of us, it's the heat and humidity. Temperatures right now in the 80s to lower 90s. Dew point temperatures are well into the 70s, and heat index values right now are approaching 100 or at 100 in parts of southwestern Wisconsin. A heat advisory is in effect until 7 p.m. on Sunday evening. So again, keep your eyes tuned. We'll have any further weather updates on the air, but at least now we can join programming in progress.
All right. Thank you, Gary, and thanks for watching News 3 tonight. We hope you join us tonight at 10.